Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley, and this is Freedom Friday. I'm recording this on Thursday, June 15th. So tomorrow's Friday the 16th. So today the United States government got hacked. And I wanted to talk about this, but I wanted to talk about it in relation to a couple of things regarding Freedom Friday. So I think what's important to notice is that right after this happened, there were news media outlets that were already starting to scapegoat Russia, but in a what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't saying it was Russia, they were like speculating Russia, but they made a point of speaking that speculation on the news. And so what I really want to I want folks to really pay attention to the language that's being used. Other good news today, the best news was that ICWA was upheld by the Supreme Court, which no one really thought was going to happen. So that's like a ginormous victory for Native folks. Their children will not be able to be taken by the United States government at this time. It was really a surprise that the Supreme Court held that up. So that is incredible news. There's only been like one generation of Native folks since residential schools and stuff. So it's a really important thing that is intact. So I want to acknowledge how awesome that is, but I also want to talk about what happened with the hacking. So like I said, the United States was hacked. I don't know a lot about it. I saw a lot of people talking about it, like when it, was breaking news, like when it first was made known. I did see something that European news was saying that the hacker was claiming or threatening that they could take down the entire Western financial system in 48 hours from this attack. So that would cause a blackout, perhaps. But I think what's really fascinating about this, and the pieces that I'm connecting together, and I'm not making shit up, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. We don't know who these hackers are. Some folks are saying it's anonymous. Some folks are saying it's Russia. Some folks are, I think what I'm really paying attention to is, so earlier at Collective Coffee this week we talked about how some white supremacists or some like January 6th insurrectionist folk on that like far side of the spectrum, Nazi, fascist, Christian nationalists, white supremacists, were talking about how if Trump got arrested, that things that were going to happen were going to be like making January 6th look like a carnival. They were talking, these are folks from the horse's mouth talking and sharing that they're organized militias. So I want us to all remember in the past few years when we've had these attacks on electrical grids. I don't remember specifically where they all were, but I do remember one in like South Carolina. So I'm talking about those. I just want us to remember those because there were threats that white supremacists were going to do that. They were saying they were going to do that with, pride or drag stuff. And so I want us to use our critical thinking skills that we've talked about, and really pay attention to who's getting scapegoat for this hack. I think that it's important to remember everything that these folks are saying, and I think it's important to acknowledge that if these are domestic terrorist attacks happening by white supremacists, by Nazis, by these folks that have claimed that real things were going to start happening if Trump was arrested, which he was this week. So I'm not saying that it was these folks, but I think it's important to pay attention to what the media is saying. They're already making a story around this saying that it was Russia, what that's going to do is that's going to have the United States government reacting with World War III starting implications. So it's important to see that that's what they're saying. It's going to be the thing if they choose, the United States chooses to go into World War III or get back at Russia for these supposed hackings, which is entirely possible because we know that that Trump had these copies. He was in, cahoots with all those folks. I don't know at a global political scale, but I'm just letting you know that it's frightening and alarming to hear them already saying that it was Russia, when they're just saying, like, speculating. So they're already planting it. So that's what I want to talk about is we need to pay attention to the way that media is sharing the news. We need to pay attention to the way that they're framing and narrating a story that doesn't even exist yet to plant these seeds of blame and scapegoat into the minds of the masses that are watching. Again, getting more complacency to go into a war and have the American people on board with that when we ourselves as a country are all over the motherfucking place. So I don't know what all was hacked. I've seen reports that it was a lot of consumer stuff. I don't know, but I think that the fact that I saw the report from the European Post or whatever, which again is still Western media, but what the fuck was that? But they're claiming that they're speculating Russia publicly in the news. So that's not confirmed at this point since I've seen. I think we need to remember that domestic terrorists are very real and very alive in this country. I'm not saying it's them either. It could be a whole host of fucking folks. It could be anonymous, But either way, I think it's important to pay attention to the language, the rhetoric, the propaganda that's being said, and think critically about how those narratives are going to serve following actions, right? So I think anytime we hear Russia being sprinkled, Russia or China being sprinkled into news, media, any sort of thing, I think we need to pay extra attention because this is like World War III implications, which would equal nuclear war. Okay, none of us are gonna survive that. So I just wanted to talk about that quickly. While in parallel to that, I don't fucking know. Oh, fucking balls, what was I gonna say? Oh, I want to talk about quickly just the conspiracy theory label and the way that it's being used in the media when I'm talking about language and things. I want to introduce the conversation around conspiracy theory. So conspiracy theorist was initially stamped and started by Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover, and he coined this term and this propaganda around conspiracy theorists during the Black Panther Party's rise, and during the Red Scare and McCarthyism and whatnot. So I just want to talk about this a little bit. I'm not saying that, you should believe everything you hear and everything's a conspiracy. I'm just letting you know that the term conspiracy theorist has historically been used to discount people and keep a narrative of not even just a narrative. It's a divisive tactic, right? Because even in the past couple years, especially around like the vaccine and COVID, we've seen a lot of talk about conspiracy theorists a lot of discounting, a lot of calling people lunatics, whatever, which is exactly the response that the media and the powers that be wanted when they introduced the term conspiracy theorist back in 2020 at a large like media scale. And I was shocked. I've been shocked continuously seeing how folks are just jumping on the they're conspiracy theorist bandwagon. And I think lumping all conspiracy theorists in together is really harmful. Because, I mean, as we've seen since 2020, we've seen a lot of the things that folks have been talking about, people who have been critically thinking, not necessarily QAnoners. You know, not every conspiracy theorist is a white supremacist. Some of us are just people who can see things differently, right? Are thinking critically, can see the bigger picture at play, can understand how people are being manipulated to remain complacent so they can be controlled, things like that. So I just want to, and the same goes for like the word hacker, right? If it was anonymous hacking the system, I'm all for it. If it's domestic terrorism, I'm definitely not. You know, the government, the US government is going to get what's coming to them. And there's a lot of people that want to take them down. It's not just, you know, it's not just folks who are conspiracy theorists or whatever. The government has fucked over so many people. So I think we need to just remember that the term was really picked up in 2020 via media. It's really been used to discredit a lot in the past few years. And so I just want to throw it out there that it was initially used to disband the Black Panther Party, and it worked, okay? In addition to having conspiracy theorists labeled and targeted, they also did a lot of infiltration. J. Edgar Hoover did a shit ton of infiltration. So I just want you to remember to think for your fucking self, okay? Get ready. If they are going to hack an entire financial system in 48 hours from today, that's in 2 motherfucking days. That's Friday, Saturday, okay? Do what you need to do, okay? If you need to pull out money, pull out money. But also don't get in a frenzy, because I feel like that's another thing they want to do, which is again why you need to prepare, so that when things do happen like this, you're just like, oh, okay, so what's going to happen next? Instead of having to go through all the motions of things you could have been doing for months or years at this point, with the current state of things. But yeah, I want to remind you all to think critically, okay? We don't have access to the United States government computers. We're being told that they were hacked, okay? I believe it, honestly. I believe it. But it also could be done by them. You know, you never really know what the fuck is going on. We just have to deal with the implications and continue to build the world that we want. Which is why this is on for Jemmy. Stop rubbing your booty on me. Which is why this is the Freedom Friday. So really quick, just a reminder, don't get carried away in the undercurrent of language manipulation, emotional manipulation. Big proponent of fucking TikTok news, hearing from individuals versus media and politicians. There's always a hidden agenda there. Always. Always. So already today, you know, we're just like in a boxing match with everything right now. We're all just like, fuck, what's next, you know? So just do what you have to do to take care of everything. Remember that the way that we're hearing things has always been the way to hear things. It's always been the way that the powers that be have used to manipulate the masses, keep people complacent and controlled. If there is a big hack, if things do get shut down, if this is what's going to cause the big EMP, and in the past, I know I've used a lot of different acronyms for that. I'm sorry. So the EMP, I mean, this shit has been talked about. It's been really big, keywording and hinting at this at these different levels. So regardless of who's behind this stuff, know that it's happening. Know that, you know, there's a lot of ways that the government could benefit from this happening, which brings into question, did this happen legitimately by a hacker, or was this a story that's being told to get to a means to an end? Okay, when we're living in these times, we have to ask ourselves this about everything. So I really hope you all have a good weekend. I hope that everything's chill. I hope that you and your family stay safe, and I hope you have everything that you need. And yeah, just want to remind you to think critically, listen to the adjectives, listen to the words that are making you feel afraid, okay? The terrifyings, the horribles, I don't fucking know, scary, whatever they're fucking saying. I don't watch the news. Whatever they're saying, just don't do your best to not elicit an emotional response to that, because that's when you're going to be able to be moved willingly, okay? That's when you're going to be able to be controlled really easily. So yeah, just remember the power of language. Remember the things that have happened in the past. Remember, just, you don't have to have all the fucking answers. Just pay attention to the patterns. You don't have to have all the answers. Pay attention to the patterns. All right? I want you to be as free as you can be. I want us all to be as free as we can be. Empires do fall. It's about that time for this country, so we're all living through that, and it's gnarly. So just remember to not get swept up in the undercurrent of what's happening. Unless, of course, you know, you're impacted directly, then, you know, do what you have to do. But I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll be back with a collective coffee this weekend to check in on what's going on right now with this hacking stuff. So I'll see you all then.